guy who committed this atrocity is not a white supremacist. That's not what this person is. This is, in many ways, what every, especially young, mass shooter looks like. Overweight, unattractive, socially awkward, not a lot going for them in life, especially with the opposite sex.
Some of them aren't overweight, but they have the crazy eyes and weird hair.
Neck beards.
Just all sorts of, well, people that are just...
People that you look at and you realize that in their mind, they are on the bottom rung of society, and maybe in a lot of ways they are. And maybe their desire to want to go on, whether it's because of their disgruntled circumstances, their escapism that they have to do on a regular basis, whether it's through video games, whether it's through the internet, 4chan, Reddit, different chats, things like that, means of figuring that the last, tool, the last resort is to pick up a weapon and kill. And this is a person that was Baker Acted 6 years ago.
So what is your point that in saying, okay, well, clearly he targeted a Black community, but you're saying you don't see him as a white supremacist. You just see him as a sick individual.
I see him as a sick individual who, in his mind, and why do I think that guys like that attack people who are Black? It's because deep down inside, they feel inferior and they see Blacks, especially Black men, as superior to them, whether in terms of physical prowess, sexual prowess, and potential economic prowess. They do see them as the bane of their existence. So what do? They pick up a weapon because they couldn't pick up their fists to actually deal with the problem.
But why is that not? I mean, he still sounds pretty white supremacist.
Oh, no, I'm saying that it's definitely racist. I'm not denying the racist element.
You just don't think he's part of like that movement.
No, I think it's like he puts the swastikas on his gun, and you have to have been your outlook on society is so Black, no pun intended, but so ugly, and systematically not willing to deal with the realities of what's going on here. Society is falling apart, and it's been falling apart for some time. There's a reason why people are willing to pick up a weapon and start killing.
Well, and they're very available.
Very available.
They're very available here. That's just the reality. They're available, and we have a lot of very, very desperate people that are in a bad way for so many reasons. And this guy left information about why he picked that location. And I mean, clearly it's a racist person with racist crime. And clearly this is a very not well individual. But, I feel like we're still seeing this pretty regularly.
This is a regular occurrence because the anger at society is so deep. Now, I'm not saying...
Stop punching down and sideways, people. Stop kicking down.
And I'm not saying that if we lived in a social democracy that will cure all of our ills, even with all of the guns that we do have in society right now. But what I do believe is that if we did have a real system, a social safety net system, universal health care, living wage, tuition-free public college and trade schools where you can learn a craft.
Job guarantee.
Would that cure all of the violence?
Education for free.
That's what I said.
Oh. Okay.
That will definitely solve a lot of these problems.
I think most crimes are crimes of poverty. Most people are struggling to exist. So if people are struggling to exist, you're going to have people that, let's say, everyday people, everybody has their limit where they can be pushed too far, where they're just going to lose their shit, right? So then if you take people that are suffering from what other traumas, generational traumas, that aren't starting with a whole clear head to begin with, and put those people in basically a pressure cooker of an economic situation, you're really asking for a disaster. And then, of course, weapons are everywhere. So, and then people are not addressing the root problem. And this is definitely a racist particular thing, but it could have just as easily been a school. It could have just as easily been, it didn't necessarily, that's sort of the side note, is that it's whether or not he's a white supremacist doesn't matter.
What matters is how he got there and how a lot of these guys get there. And people there is mental illness all throughout society. And a lot of times I do believe that mental illness is brought on by your living conditions.
Oh, for sure.
And so
you get pushed to the edge.
Pushed to the edge. And so now what you have here is a person who's looking for an enemy, who's looking for something that they can hit, because they know they can't get in front of, let's say, the president or a senator or a multinational corporation board member. So they attack somebody that they think that they can hit. And if the bane of their existence in his sick mind is the Black community,
someone got a job he wanted, or somebody, whatever the grudge is, whatever it is, it's a punching down.
And that is why, you know, Angie Nixon says that when you push the rhetoric, like our governor has pushed, to basically, especially on the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, and to push this rhetoric that somehow, again, slavery was good for the Black community, or we're just not going to learn about any of these things, or we're going to tell them to stop complaining and that this isn't a problem anymore. And for anybody who speaks up, is basically just being, and as Angie Nixon so eloquently put it, just an angry Black woman complaining about something.
What did I don't know what Vivek said. Well, like I don't know what he said regarding Jacksonville. I knew there was something.
Well, now you're going to find out, because this is the asinine response that Vivek decided to say on CNN the other day.
What is your reaction to the shooting?
It is such a tragedy, and my heart goes out to those families. This should not be happening in the United States of America, and it is wrong. The reality is we have a mental health epidemic in this country. There are reports that this particular individual, the perpetrator, was indeed evaluated for mental health deficiencies as well. And I think we need to have the courage in this country to bring back a practice of putting back psychiatrically ill people who pose a risk to their communities into psychiatric institutions, not just drugging them up, but faith-based approaches and other approaches that fill our longing for purpose and meaning in this country. I think it is just a shame that we even have mass shootings like this, be it the one that happened in Florida, be it the recent one, the Nashville shooter in a Christian school, killing 6 in a school. We have to address that mental health epidemic, and we need leaders with the courage to do it. The reality is we've created such a racialized culture in this country in the last several years that right as the last few burning embers of racism were burning out, we have a culture in this country largely created by media and establishment and universities and politicians that throw kerosene on that racism. And I can think of no better way to fuel racism in this country than to take something away from other people on the basis of their skin color.
Boy, he butchered that.
Yeah.
That was ugly.
That was terrible.
That was ugly. So let's just lock up everybody in sanitariums. Let's lock up all the mentally ill people in sanitariums.
The fact that he brought religion into it.
Well, that's also,
dude,
faith-based approaches.
We need a faith-based approach. Yes, because thoughts and prayers really work.
Oh my goodness.
They really do.
That's the answer of someone who is very happy to take NRA money.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's the answer of someone who's not even willing to say the word firearm. He didn't even mention it. It was a tragic event. He didn't even mention anything. He didn't mention the word gun. He didn't mention that. I don't think he even said shooting. He didn't mention anything. He just called it like this tragic event shouldn't happen. We need to deal with mental illness and lock up people that are mentally ill. And can we please, there is a big difference between people that are suffering from some sort of mental breakdown or a psychotic break, or people that are regular people that are just pushed to the edge, and people that suffer from things like depression and anxiety or any of those things where people might just lose it, versus people that are very chronic, maybe like that have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, and those people that are generally nonviolent. And I think it's important for us to I don't like when we always pivot to mental illness as, oh, well, it's mental illness is the problem, because it really, first of all, it stigmatizes mental illness when in fact, most people that are mentally ill are not dangerous. So I don't like the idea of stigmatizing mental illness with, oh, well, they're mentally, anybody that wants to kill people and then kill themselves is obviously suffering in some sort of mental psychosis situation. But when we just use this phrase mental illness, because I know people that are bipolar or schizophrenic, and these are not dangerous people. And so I worry about over stigmatizing this concept of what mental illness is. Yeah, you're killing people. Something's not right.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.